Going to build a calculator. I just named this calculator a fancy calculator. So here is the design. I've inspired the design from this guy on UpLabs, and with that design I've designed this one with this Figma. So here is the design that we have, and so the name of this design, we call it neumorphism because of these kind of shadows that it has. And so let's start and see how we can achieve this. So first of all, just let's have a look into the project that we have. So I have added some theme and some classes and files. For example, the color I've added, the shape I've added, and the spacing and typography I've added. So far the main activity is empty, and just let's have a look into the dependencies that we have. So the only dependencies that I have added is this one. The other ones are related to the compose. This one is for changing the status bar color. I've used this library, and from this website, which is Accompanist, they have many different libraries, very useful, so you can use them if you want. So I will just use this one, and let's just have a look and see how it works. So here in the theme, I just use this system UI controller to set the status bar color to be like my background that I am using. So that's the only third-party library that I'm using. So let's start and have a look into the design that we have. We have one input display on the top and many buttons here. The buttons I would say would be easier to start. So let's start with having a calc button component. Calc button component. So actually it is not a class, it is a actually a compose component, and I'm gonna make it internal. And so what I have to pass, so we have color, we have to select the color, we have to pass the color then, and the color, I'm going to import the color as well. I have to pass symbol that we are using, so it's gonna be a string. And what else do we need? We need onClick as well, and we need modifier here as well. We have two rectangles, and the inner rectangle has shadows, two shadows, one on the top, the other one on the bottom. Okay, let's do the same. So we need two boxes. The first box I'm going to add, and this is the box that I need. I need a modifier. No. So first of all, let's start with this. Let's start with having a rounded corners. I'm going to use material theme shapes that medium. I'm going to use it here. See, this part was added by this Copilot, which wasn't expected. And I'm going to add the background. Background would be the same that I do have, that they have passed by, and then it's gonna be modified here. So I'm going to add this content alignment, exactly what we need. So let me get rid of this path here, and let's import this alignment. One more thing here is that is a clickable onClick. I'm going to call onClick. We need another box, which would be the box which we are going to use as an inside box, and thanks to Copilot, it just added everything that we wanted so far. So I'm going to use the same rounded corner and the background we do have. And one more thing that we have to add is fill max size as fraction, and it's gonna be 0.8. Okay, that would be all. Let's just have a preview and see how so far it looks like. And compose and calc button component preview, make it private and make it add the preview annotation, show the background here, true, definitely. And here we have to use our calculator theme, because it's a fancy calculator theme we have to use. And perfect, I'm going to have this calculator button component. Down click, and instead of red, I'm going to pass button pink color. So here is the component that we have, but the size of the component is not correct. What I'm going to do is that I'm gonna add the modifier here and modifier here as well, and put the size, make it like a 200 dp, and let's run it again. Exactly what we wanted. So it is without shadows. Because of that, I'm going to add shadows here as well. But before that, let me move this component into the UI part. And here I'm going to add the shadow that we want. I'm going to add it as an extension to the modifier. Because of that, I'm going to name this file like a modifier and shadow, I would say. Yeah, so you can just rename it if you want, but I'm really comfortable with this naming. So here we have everything that we wanted. So we have a modifier, and here we do need a color. It should be a compose color, and definitely I'm going to pass a default value here. We need offset, and the default offset would be 0 dp. So one more here, 0 dp here as well, and 0 dp for the bevel radius as well. So what we are trying to achieve here is that something like this we want to achieve. So as you can see here on this Figma, we have offsets and bevel radius and the color. So I want to have the exact same thing here as well. The only thing is that I don't need actually this spread thingy, because I'm not using it at all. I don't use it, that's why I haven't added. So I'm going to have it without those part. Perfect. So the next part would be, we need to add this as to draw behind the layout that we have. Because of that, I'm using draw behind, and after that I'm going to draw in canvas. So I'm going to pass the canvas and use the canvas here, and what we need to is draw a rectangle. Actually, we're trying to draw two rectangles, one on the top left and one on the bottom right, to make it looks like a shadow. And the one which is on the top is white, the one is on the bottom is black. So what we do need is that we need left, top, right and bottom. And because of that, I'm going to come here, like a left pixel would be offset X, top would be Y, while right would be the size of the layout that we do have plus top pixel, the width of the size, and the bottom will be the height of the size of the layout that we have, and left pixel. So let me just pass them to draw react method that we have. Left, top, right, bottom. The last one would be the paint. I'm going to just initiate a paint here without having actual color and the shadow. I'm gonna do those part after seeing what we are doing in the actually design. So let's go here and add the shadows that we wanted. Okay, before background and clip, I'm going to add we haven't to add this to the first box, we have to add it to the inner box. Okay, so that's why I'm gonna go after this fill max size, and before the clipping I'm going to add my shadows. It's gonna be 2 shadow. Exactly, the one that which is on the top should be the color, the button shadow color top, and the offsets we do have -4 and below radius should be 8 shadow. The next one would be the same, but this one should be bottom 8 8 4 4 and 8. So let's just double check and see if it is correct or not. Yes, -4 below radius is 8, and the color we have predefined in the color file. Perfect. So we have everything that we wanted. Just let's rerun this preview and see how so far it looks like. Perfect. So we have draw 2 different rectangles behind the layout that we have. Okay, the next step, I'm gonna define a paint exactly like this. So the problem with this paint is that we need this is a Compose paint, and we need framework, I mean the Android paint. That's why I'm going to convert it to as framework paint. And here, let me just close this part, and here exact code that we want actually. So if below radius is not 0, then we are going to use this mask filter to make it look like a shadow. Okay, let's import this below mask filter, and the style that we have to pass, I've used normal style. And after that we have to convert the color that we have into the ARGB and move it after the condition that we have. Perfect. Let's pass this shadow into the direct. Perfect. Okay, and let's rerun the component exact what we wanted so far. Let's design the input display. So the input display actually is a box with a text inside it, and we have corners, and we have 2 shadows as well. Okay, let's do the same for this one. Let's create another file here. Let's name it input. Oh my god. And let's name it input display component, and compose input display component. Here I'm gonna make it internal as well, and what we need to pass is just a result. Okay, so result as a string. So we do need a box only. Okay, so what we need to have here in the box is that let me do it by myself. So let me so the box that we need should be it's almost the same as we had, but let's pass the modifier dot fill max. Instead of fill max size, I'm gonna fill max width. We have to pass it to get all the spaces that we have. And the next one, we need the rounded corners, so I'm going to use the clip one. So here we are using the large shape, and we need a background, and background should be on background. I'm going to use on background here as well. So let's just add the shadows as well, because we do already have the shadow. Okay, so let's have a look. 1566, and the color we do have it definitely, so it's gonna be input display. Let me just have a look. The color, if I go here, there's a result shadow color top. Yes, this one I'm going to use, and this should be -6 because it's going to be on the top, and below radius should be 15, right? Okay, let's import DP as well, and we have added the first shadow. Let's add the bottom shadow as well. So change this one to bottom, 6615. Perfect. So what else do we need is the text which we are going to have it inside. So the text that we're going to have inside, we're going to, so it's gonna be the header, the typography. We're going to use the header, and just with one change, that would be just align this text on the right, and just to the right of the box that we have, and fill max size. I think fill max size isn't correct, and let's fill max width would be better. And the result that we are going to show, and overflow, I'm going to use it as a visible. If we are entering more than what we need, we are going to show it. Max lines definitely should be 1. What else do we need? Style modifier, everything is here. So there's one problem here, and that is about, I'm not really sure what is the problem with this text. I guess I have not imported the text. Let me just re-import it and see what happens. What we do need is, yeah, exactly. So I got the problem. So the max line is not correct. I have to, it was the worst error ever in my life. So I have to use these max lines, and after that, let's just have another compose to just preview what we have built. Okay, let's just add a preview, and let's add preview annotation as well, and let's just go with the show background true. Here again, we are going to have fancy calculator team, and we're going to pass this number 1. The interesting thing is that if we write 1 plus, for example, 100, if we put the equal, then by default this copilot says it should be under the 1. Somehow it calculates the result and it shows us here. So what else do we need? Since we do have some shadows here, I want to see the shadows as well. That's why I'm going to wrap this component into the container, which would be the box, and here I'm going to modifier, I'm going to add a padding. 10 padding would be enough. Let's run and see how it looks like. Perfect. What we wanted is here, and the only problem that I see is the padding. I have to add padding. So yes, I'm going to vertical and horizontal padding to it, so it's gonna be a little bit better. Yes, it's much better actually. I'm going to have a component here. I'm gonna name it screen calc. Okay, one more thing, I'm gonna make it private because no one else should call it. So we're going to have a surface here. So we need a background here, which would be material theme colors background, and we need a modifier to make it a full screen. Exactly. So what else do we need? We need another box. So why we need this box? Because I want to use the alignment, and surface doesn't have, so that's why I'm going to have this alignment here. And yeah, exactly. So what we have done is that, we have added the box, we have added the padding to the horizontal and vertical part. So the padding are added. Let me import some of them. So, and after this box, I'm going to have the column, and the column should fill the max width of the its parent, and here it's gonna start from the bottom. So here we are going to pass input display that we have created. So for input display component, I'm going to add, so the thing is I've just implemented this calculator once. That's why this Copilot knows what I'm going to do. That's why it is suggesting me to do this, do that. I'm going to pass 0 spacer to make a little bit of space, and now we need this. So we have added this space, and now we need a grid view to add all the buttons that we have. And the grid view, the name of the grid view would be, the component would be calc buttons grid layout actually. So let's add this component right here, because we are not going to use this grid anywhere else. I'm going to have it right inside my activity. Perfect. So far everything is okay. We have input display, yeah, exactly. So let's start working with this calc buttons grid layout, and here I'm going to have buttons that I need. Perfect, exactly. So we need these I don't know how code, I mean I haven't written this code at all, but somehow because of maybe calc buttons grid layout, it knows that it should suggest me this code. But it is very interesting. I really enjoy using this Copilot. And oopsie, and instead of this I'm going to use this, and yes, I don't need this one as well. Okay, so now it is the time to use this grid view that we have. So lazy, it tried to help me, as you can see, but it is not what I wanted. Lazy vertical grid, it's gonna have grid cells dot fixed one. We are going to use a fixed one, and it's gonna be 4 column. So 4 column we are going to have. So 4 column we are going to add it here, and perfect. And we do need this one. Let me see what we have to pass. We need modifier. I'm going to have a modifier here. The modifier, I'm going to use it for aspect ratio. It should be 1. Ratio of the component should be 1. That's why I'm going to pass 1 here. And the color, so far it is not important. We can go with red. And with the symbol, yes, symbol actually. So yes, it is correct. And on click would be nothing for now. Actually, it's gonna be empty. So perfect. So we have added everything that we wanted so far, and we can continue and see how so far it looks like. I'm going to add this screen calc here, and let's run the code and see. The problem that we have here is that about these paddings, I'm going to use vertical arrangement, which this lazy vertical has. I'm going to use a space bar, and I'm going to use horizontal, exactly, horizontal alignment. Horizontal arrangement. Perfect. So instead of this, I'm going to use this one. And here, let me see what is the problem. Oh, so yeah, actually this label is wrong. It should be DP if we wanted even to use this DP. Let's rerun the answer. Perfect, much better. We have most of the things that we wanted, but not with the correct actually button types. I'm going to create a file and action button. I'm going to name it. So it's going to be a sealed class and action button. Okay. Thanks to Copilot, it just has added all the requirement that we need. So far we needed number, operators, the type of the buttons that we need, calculate, delete, clear, decimal, and percentage. We have added them all here. The only thing we need is these operators. Exactly, so I've added the operators as well. So just one thing here, this action bar I'm going to use in both domain model and the presentation in the domain layer and in the presentation layer. That's not a good practice, but here to make it a little bit easier to understand and finish the code faster, I'm going to use for both layers. So as you can see, we have the we have two. Oh my god, there is a problem here. So this Copilot tried to help me, but it wasn't good enough. So as you can see here, it tried to fix it. So I needed to have these symbol, which symbol that I'm going to show for each button, and I need the color as well. So it wasn't that helpful this time. Okay, so I'm going to add val. Okay, now it knows what went wrong. Okay, now so here it should tell me what I'm going to add, but it doesn't. Oh, this. Oh my god, I just clicked here, but it the whole yeah, here I wanted to have button. So as you can see, I was saying that this button pink, this button blue, this button yellow colors, all of them, they shouldn't be here in the domain model, but and these symbols shouldn't be as well. So we just needed to have the types, but to make it easier, I'm going to have both of them in one type, actually in one action button type. Okay, let's go here, and instead of list of string, I'm going to add all the buttons that we have one by one. Okay, so the first one should be the the clean button. Okay, so I'm going to use action button dot AC, but this is not right. I'm going to add them all together, and after that I'm going to record again the action types that I wanted. Action button. So here I named it action button, and actually it should be action tab, but anyway, action button. So I'm gonna rename this action. It doesn't make sense, action button. So I'm gonna rename this action button to action type actually. So we do have, and everything is okay. I've added all of them to the list that I have, and here instead of the color red, I'm going to pass it button color, symbol, and dispatcher, and everything else. It is not ready yet because I haven't started the view model. I'm going to start the view model after checking the design. Yeah, perfect. The design is what we wanted so far. I'm going to add a view model, which would be calc view model, which extends from view model. And so here there is one thing that I want to explain a little, is that here I'm going to have two different states, one state for the view model itself and the other one for the presentation, to hide some stuff which is not related to the actual the view. And because of that, I'm going to have a private class with name of the state with 3 variables, with 3 fields. So number one, we're going to have number one, we're going to have operator, and we're going to have number 2. So we're going to keep them all here in the view model. So the UI doesn't know anything about number 1 or operator or number 2. What view needs to know is actually class, let me just create view state, actually is the result. They should just know the result. As you can see here, none of these states will change, and the only thing which will change is this result. Okay, so we are going to pass only the result, and here we are going to create our state with the mutable state flow, and I'm going use to flow because of it is much easier for me at least, and it has many different operators. That's why I do like to use this flow instead of the live data. Okay, so here I'm going to map this, and I'm going to pass the state here. Exactly, so the number 1 always would be 0. If it is empty, then it would be 0. The operator would be itself the operator or empty, and number 2 would be empty always, because it is not. So this one is nullable, so we have to make sure that it's gonna be empty if it is null, but for number 2 we don't need it. And after that we are going to pass view state with this formation. Perfect. So the next part would be the dispatch. Exactly, so I'm going to add the dispatch for each type of the action that we have. We're going to have different methods. So for example, here we have the number. When we press a number, we're going to have on number clicked and so far. Perfect. So for the percentage is empty. I'm gonna I'm not going to do this because it's gonna make a little bit everything complex, and the main focus of this is on the design. That's why I'm not going to explain anything related to percentage, so you guys do it. So let's have the functions that we need, and let's start with the on operator clicked. Perfect. Let's just have a look into the code that this Copilot has provided us. We are getting the current state here, and if number 1 is not empty and if the operator is null, then we are going to have this. It totally makes sense. I'm very agree with it. Perfect. So the only problem is that it says that the copy doesn't work here. Why? Because it is not a data class. Now it is data class. Now it works. Perfect. The next one would be private on delete. Fun on delete. Clicked. Okay. So for the on delete, we have to remove the last string of each. Okay, perfect. So actually we have the code. So we have the current state. If the operator is null, okay, that means that we are still in entering the number 1. So if we press on the delete button, we have to drop the last index of this from the number 1. We have to remove it from the drop last one. We drop it. If the current state number 2 is empty, it means that we have to remove the operator. If otherwise, we have to remove from the number 2. We are going to drop the last character of the number 2. Perfect. So the next one will be on decimal clicked. Private fun on decimal clicked. It's gonna be a little bit challenging. Okay, we have the code. So the interesting part is that this current state and this code which is provided by Copilot is not the one that I've coded. I'm pretty sure about it. It is not my code. So just let's have a look and see if it works correctly or not. So current state operator, if it is null and if number 2 is empty, then we are going to, and if there is no dots, I mean the decimal in the number 1, and then we are going to add 1 dot. Okay, else if current state operator is not null, it means that we are entering actually the number 2, and when current state that number 2 is empty. No, if it is empty, then how can we so oh, if it is, it should be when it is not empty. So here we have this, and we are not caring about the number one's emptiness, because always we are showing a 0, so we can just add the 0 at the end. But here number 2 can be empty, so that's why it should not be empty, is not empty, and it does not contains dot. Then we are going to add this. Perfect. So this one we have added. Somehow this is not my code. I'm pretty sure this is not my code. So somehow it uses others people codes to improve your code. That is good actually. So the next one would be uncleared. Oh my god, here it is not going to help us. I don't know why it's wrong with the current, with the uncleared, with the unclear clicked. But anyway, so val current state, I'm going to get the current state, and after that, so when we click on the clear, what we do expect is that to clear everything that we have. So what does it mean? It means that the state that we have, that value should be equal to current state. Exactly. So number 1 shouldn't be empty. It should be with 0, because it always should has 0. Number 2 should be empty, and operator should be empty as well. Perfect. Let's go with the uncalculate clicked private fun uncalculate clicked. Okay, let's see the code that this guy has provided us. Okay, if number 1 is not empty and number 2 is not empty as well, and the operator is not null, then we are going to calculate the result. Okay, Jesus, I haven't done anything. No, I just entered. Okay, you know, sometimes showing these suggestions even make you a little bit more confused than what you think. So here we have when, I don't know why we do not have plus or, oh, see, so somehow minus, it is, I got it. It is amazing how it is possible. So here I've used subtract, but in the code that I have, it is trying to use minus. It is definitely someone else's code. Somehow it knows where it should have add into. I mean, it is someone else's code, but with some modification, and make it look like my code, because you know this part is definitely is my code, so no one else, I think, has used this part. So we have current state, and the result, we are putting the result into the number 1 and number 2, and operator, both of them gonna be empty or null. So the last one would be unnumber clicked, which would be the easiest one. Unnumber click. Perfect. So we do have the code. Okay, unnumber click, number integer. Okay, current state operator, if it is null, it means that we are still working, we are still entering actually number 1. Yes, number 1 plus number that which has we pressed, and if otherwise, go and work with number 2, which totally makes sense. Amazing. So we have everything that we wanted, all the actions are here, and now is the time to use them inside of the main activity that we have. Okay, let's go here and let's start with getting this view model. Perfect. I'm going to get the view model that I have, and after that I'm going to get the state that I have. View model dot collect as state, and initial state would be, so the initial state would be view model dot calc view model dot view state, and I'm going to pass 0. So the initial state would be definitely 0. Perfect. And let's just call our screen I'm going to call this screen calc. Oh, calc screen would makes much more calc screen. Yes, please, calc screen. I'm going to pass this state. And one more thing, for all the actions that we have, I'm going to pass ViewModel dispatch as well. And here, what I'm going to have is the actual action type that I'm going to get. So let's change this calc screen call and add this function here. Change this one, dispatcher. I'm gonna name it dispatcher. No, dispatcher. Okay, and inside of this we are going to have action type. Perfect. And state, I'm going to pass the state to the input display component and change the signature of the component as well. So exactly, so here we have the result, and result should be here. So state, I'm going to rename it to the state. Something wasn't right, so I was looking what is result. So state.result we do have here, and the only problem is here is that it needs to have state. I'm going to pass a state here as well. 1 plus 1 3. It just showed me 1 plus 1 3. Yes. Okay, and here we do have everything, and the only part is that we need dispatcher. We need this dispatcher into the calc buttons. Okay, that's why I'm going to pass the dispatcher and add this parameter to the function that I have. And here dispatcher call it whatever that we have. So the code is quite easy to read. I mean, this code is, I do like it. And one more thing is that it needs to have state here as well. That's why I'm going to have a calc view state, and we're going to show 0 only. And here for this part I'm not going to pass anything. So that should be all. So let's just run the application and see how it should work. So 1 plus 1 2, perfect. So everything is okay. The design is as what we wanted, and I really like this design. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.